I really appreciate it, Dr. Schumann. Walking up here, I honestly cannot believe I volunteered to do this. But I think before I really get started, as President Israel did, I think it's especially important to acknowledge everybody here who's helped us and supported us for these last 2 years. And I know from the class, first and foremost, we really want to say thank you to the friends and family that are here with us today. Not a single one of us did this by ourselves these last 2 years or 4 years or however long it's been. And so it was your support, your patience that we got here. And so I just really want to say thank you from all of us to all of you. Next, I want to say thank you from the entire class to our instructors. We have been a unique group, and I know we have not always been the easiest group for you to handle. With your tireless dedication, your unending support, in fact, you never gave up on any of us. Got us through all the tough times, made good times better, and made the bad times manageable. You've taught us all so much over these last 2 years, and we will all owe you a debt of gratitude for the rest of our lives. So thank you. And I also want to say thank you, Ms. Jones. You've been with us through all 4 semesters. First as a wonderful professor, and then this semester as the director of the program. There is absolutely no better person that this school could have running and representing our program than you. You're a tireless advocate for your students and for the patients that we're going to care for. And we all owe you so much, so thank you. Now I also want to thank Dr. Art out of Atlanta, Dean Johnson, Dr. Schumann, President Israel, Charlene, wherever you are, and all of the other administrators who put so much work in behind the scenes to make sure that we could be successful. So thank you all. Now, if you'll just indulge me for a couple minutes here. It's not very often I get to make a speech in front of a room full of 500 people. I have everybody listening to me, so I just want to ask you personal thank yous for the next couple minutes. First, and make sure I don't forget anybody. First, I have to say thank you to my beautiful and incredible wife, Vicki. You're the most amazing mom and wife there could ever be. I love you more than anything in this world. Without you, I never would have even had the courage to be up here today, or even to thought to go back to school. Also my mom, my dad, Norma, Mary, Tom, Rachel, and Ryan, my family. Thank you so much for your support over the last 2 years and really for my entire life. Next, my clinical instructors, Ms. Campus, Ms. Whitehead, Ms. Parrick, and Ms. Roberts. Your guidance helped me overcome so many fears these last 2 years. And when I'm out there practicing, you're my voice of reason, you're my little guardian angels on my shoulders. So thank you. Finally, Chris, Christine, Sarah Austin, Sarah Oxford, Tracy, and Katie. I hardly know how to put into words how important you guys have been to me for the last 2 years. You've been my family when I couldn't be with my family. And now I know that today feels like the end of something, but it really isn't. Wherever life takes y'all, I will always be your friends. And I'm so excited to know that for the rest of my life, I'll be able to share the good times, the crazy times, and the bad times with you. So thank you for the last 2 years, and thank you for all the times that we're going to have in the future. All right. So when I was trying to write this speech, I spent a lot of time, obviously, reflecting over the last 2 years and everything we've gone through, everything we've done, everything we've seen, all the challenges we've faced. Naturally, my mind went back to that very first week of school. We were all so eager, so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and so ready to go, and we were all so very, very panicked. And I specifically remember a group of us. I think it was Tamara, Janet, myself, Tracy, and a couple other folks running frantically from office to office. I think we bothered Miss Campus a couple times, and Miss Campus once at the same time, trying to find a professor who could tell us what would be on the very first skills quiz. Now, y'all remember those, right? They're the ones that count something like 1/2 But I think what really caused that is that leading up to it, all we had heard for the entire pre-rec period and everything else, that nursing school would be the most difficult thing we would ever do in our lives. So, as we sit here today, do you think it was? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. I think it was actually harder than most of us expected. I know for myself, the awkwardness of clinicals, rushing paperwork that goes along with clinicals, the anxiety of skills checkoffs. Chris, coming for you. Just shaking every time we'd have skills checked off. It was every bit as hard as we had heard and then some. But as I look back on it over the last few years, the most enduring memories weren't the challenges. They were the good times that we had. Like when we'd be practicing skills in the lab, just dying of laughter over some stupid joke that I promised Dr. I would not repeat most of those jokes here today, but they were always memorable. Or Dr. Wong, I wish she could be here. I remember her very well from first semester. A rather memorable first semester lecture that featured some flagging props. And I have to tell you, if there's anybody here today who's still in the program and did not know Dr. Wong, that you guys are really missing out on that one. Or when, well, let me set this one up. Before school started, I used to watch Discovery Health Channel quite a bit because they had some good programs. There was always this commercial that would be running. I don't know if it still is, but it was a Johnson & Johnson's commercial. It had all these scenes from a hospital, this kind of really sappy song that ended with, "You're a nurse, you make a difference." And I pretty much thought that was the cheesiest thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. And so I got to school, and one time during first semester, I mentioned the commercial to Chris and Christine. And I looked back and looked at them, and rather incredulously, I noticed that they were both tearing up at just me even mentioning the idea of the commercial. I didn't really get that one at the time, but I'll come back to that topic in just a minute. But most of all, what I remembered over the last few years was the way our class responded whenever life would happen. And make no mistake, life happens whether you're in school or not. We have the joy of pregnancies, we have the struggle of pregnancies. Jesse. We had illnesses, we had accidents, and we had tragedies. And whenever something like this happened, our class would put aside all the bickering, and the cliques, and the silliness, and we would rally around that person, and we would lift them up, and make sure they could keep going to the finish line. And I'm very happy to see every one of them sitting here today with us. We've become our own rather large, dysfunctional family over the last few years. We kind of may argue and act crazy, but then when push comes to shove, we always protect our own. And I will always remember that, and I will always be inspired by that. So as I kept going over and over all of these memories from school, both the good ones and the bad ones, one question kept popping up in my head. And that was, why the heck would we put ourselves through all this? I mentioned this to Debbie the other day, and I think her first answer was insanity. And so I thought about this question. I remember the time back in the first week of school, Ms. Campus asked us why we wanted to be nurses. A lot of people, including me, answered a steady paycheck. Now, I'm sure most of us would still include that reason if we were asked that question again, but you don't go through all the things that we've gone through if that's really all you're after. There are much easier paychecks out there. A lot of us have had them. So why do we do it? I look around the room out here today and I see a lot of husbands, I see a lot of wives, a lot of children, fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, and friends. Throughout the last 2 years, we've sacrificed so much time. We miss get-togethers, date nights, playtime with our kids, and countless numbers of small, quiet moments, many of which we're never going to get back. Again, if all we were after was a steady paycheck, there are much easier ways to get them. So why did we do it? Why did we suffer through all-nighters and ridiculously early clinical mornings, through amazingly hard tests, psych clinicals, skills lab, and so many uncomfortable first moments? Was it because of a paycheck? No, I don't think it was. It's because of the 16-year-old girl. who's alone and in labor and so scared. It's because of the 2-pound premium and their parents who are scared out of their minds that they might lose their baby. It's because of the 4-year-old whose parents can't be at the hospital with them and who's frightened and who's lonely and just wants someone to sit down and watch cartoons with them. Because of the 16-year-old with cystic fibrosis who's been in and out of the hospital their entire life, and at this point, they're just tired. It's because of the 30-year-old who's in a car accident and can't feel their legs anymore. It's because of the 45-year-old who's been diagnosed with colon cancer and is terrified of the future and how much it might hurt and whether or not they're going to be able to see their kids grow up. It's because of the 75-year-old with Alzheimer's, who all of a sudden can't remember what day it is, or who these people are, or why she can't be at home in her rocking chair with a Michelob watching a game. It's because of the 90-year-old who's had a good life, a great life, and just needs someone by her side to tell her that it's okay to let go. It's because of these people that we gave so much and we sacrificed so much time with our loved ones. It's because, whether we knew it or not, we have each been called to give everything of ourselves so that others might be just a little bit less scared. It's because we've been called to be nurses. It's because we've been called to make a difference.